I think a lot of car guys really wonder about, hey, what is my actual dream car? And if I really wanted to, how would I actually achieve getting it? Well, I'm here today to show you how exactly you should think about going and buying your dream car. As someone who bought one of their dream cars, this JDM Miata at 19, I can speak to some of the experiences that I've had and just what are the things to look for and what are the things to avoid when purchasing your dream car and making sure it doesn't become your nightmare. So one of the first things I would say is that if this is a car that is your dream car, I'm assuming it is not going to be like the only car you ever have, right? And this being the case, it probably isn't practical and it's not really a necessity, right? Like in the literal sense of the word. Now you might think, yeah, I need this car to feel fulfilled in my life, but the car is not going to be a necessity. So for a lot of people, this is the first rule that you want to follow, is do not take out a loan for your dream car. You might be thinking, okay, well, what the hell? You know, like, aren't there any caveats? Like, I can never take out a loan? What if I want a super expensive car, right? Like SVJ, right? That's like one of my personal dream cars as well. Well, there's a caveat to this. And the caveat is that if you're taking out a loan, your money needs to be working in a more efficient manner outside of your car, right? So basically, this is what is called arbitrage, right? For the vast majority of people, arbitrage is not going to make sense, and you should still follow, the rule to not use loans generally when buying vehicles, especially your dream car. However, there are certain circumstances where taking out a loan actually makes more financial sense. And you might be thinking, well, I don't feel free, if I have a car payment. However, that is really a one-dimensional side of thinking, right? So if that's important to you, not having a car payment or whatever, go ahead, do your thing. And for the vast majority of people, taking out car loans isn't gonna make sense. But here's where it would. Let's say, an example, right, that is totally not gonna happen in the future for myself, is I want to buy a Trackhawk. Now, let's say the Trackhawk is $75,000. Now, let's say I have $75,000 in cash. I could buy the Trackhawk in cash, not have any payments, or I could put $25,000 down on the car and then take a loan for $50,000 at like 5% interest and invest that $50,000 either into a stock portfolio, which is going to perform at 10% plus over the long term, or into a real estate portfolio, which is probably going to perform similarly. So in a case like this, a loan would make sense, but again, for the vast majority of people, you don't want to make this car that's supposed to be your dream car actually turn into your nightmare. So unless you're making a good arbitrage, generally speaking, taking out auto loans is only just going to give you that feeling of instant gratification, and you're just going to be losing money. Rule number one is what I kind of followed with this Miata here. I did not take out a loan on it. It was only, after everything, $15,000 to buy the car, have it imported, not included taxes and all that, but basically $15,000 for the car. I didn't really need to take out a loan, nor did it really make sense, even if I could have. The next piece of advice that I would give to anyone looking into buying their dream car is do your fucking research. Yes, I mean do your research like very seriously, because the last thing you want to do is, buy a car and have something unexpected happen and you're like, well, I didn't even know this was a problem on this car. Maybe I would have had, second thoughts, or maybe I would have saved up more money. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of fell into this a little bit with this Miata. I never once even thought about saying I would, wish I saved up more money, or wish I, didn't buy it. Hell no. But there are a few things that I wish I would have took more seriously. Mainly most of the maintenance items, right? I mean, this car only has 41,000 miles, but it is 27 years old. So things do get old, and there are very common leaks that I didn't know about. For example, the heater core or the cam angle sensor O-ring, which I had to do, which were more just a pain in the ass than anything. But like things like that, I really wish I researched more ahead of time, because when I found it out, I'm like, this should have been super obvious. And that's not to say I didn't do my research. Listen, I did my research well, and made sure I got a really good spec. But there are some maintenance items I forgot about or didn't even realize existed. So I would really just go deep into research and make sure you know exactly what you're getting into. Like, I'm talking about no stone left unturned. Like, this is, a lot of money likely that's going into this dream car, and something I'm actively doing right now for the Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk. Another thing is that kind of ties into that is really just being patient. Being patient and getting an actual good spec of the car you want is far greater than being impatient and getting a kind of shoddy spec of the car, or something you didn't really want, but you got it a year faster or something like that, right? This is really about prioritizing patience so you don't have regrets later on. You might think, oh, but I'll regret, not getting that S14 before 22, right? And then you end up getting a fucking shell that you plan to build, and then you never actually build, and normal S chassis things. However, if you're patient, meaning that, okay, you set a money goal, I have to have minimum this amount of money before I go out searching for a car to seriously look at and buy. And then from there, after that point, you're just like, well, if I find a good spec, I'll buy one. Not, oh, I have the money, let's just buy the first thing that looks decent. No, absolutely not. This Miata took me probably about a year of serious searching to find, and I will say that if I didn't do this research, I could have fallen into a lot of regret. If you're curious on the spec, it's a 1997 with the 1.8, of course. It's right-hand drive, as you have noticed. It's got the hard top matching, beautiful, I love it. We have the LSD in the back. We have 41,000 miles on the car, and really just a good spec. We got roll cage, we got minor like exhaust upgrades, like just quality of life things, well maintained. This was the spec I wanted for, and why I waited a year of literally just poking around on Facebook Marketplace and on import websites. You want to make sure that the car is the limiting factor, not the time frame. One of the final points I want to make here is that you really don't want to have your car taking up too much of your life. Now, that could mean a bunch of different things for a bunch of different people, right? Now, some people really just want to, have their only thing in their net worth to be their car. While I can get this, you also don't want to have regret later on because you made a stupid decision early on to get into a car you weren't ready to, that took up too much of your life. I think a general really good rule of thumb is if you're looking at a dream car, you really don't want it to take up more than a third of your net worth, depending on your prospects, where you're at in life, and what the car is. Like, I will say the Miata is it's a solid chunk of my net worth, like around 10% or so, but it isn't consuming my life. And even with maintenance, insurance, you got to calculate all that into it. And on a monthly basis, this car doesn't cost me much of anything. You probably don't want something that's taking up too much of your time either. So try to find something that's going to be, nice to you on a time frame wise. You don't want to be spending every waking moment of your life worrying about a stupid car. For most people. Now, if that's really what you want to do, tell yourself that, but go ahead and try it out, because I personally am pretty agnostic when it comes to working on cars. Like, I'll do it if I have to, and trust me, I had to with both of my cars, just normal maintenance and upgrades. And you know, it gets draining after a while. So that would be my advice for buying your dream car. These are some things to keep you grounded, to keep you balanced in all areas of your life. Some of this may seem harsh. Some of you might be like, damn, this is gonna like add a year and a half, 2 years to my plan if I follow this. But trust me, your peace of mind and, you know, your general quality of life will exponentially go up, and you will love the car 10 times more. Just from a personal point of view, I do not regret this car at all. It has only brought joy to my life. So if you want to have an experience like that, make sure you follow along and do exactly what is laid out in this video. Thanks for watching.
Hey, hands down, bitch, I'm not hottest in the city. Throwing fits about that bitch, then come get with me. You can't go out like no Ricky. You lose them, how you get them, ain't no biggie. Bag of 10, fuck the bitch, then feed her Wendy's, yeah. Hey, you could call me Mr. Leave her where she at, bitch. I'm a dog, but I ain't with the chasing cats.